Hi, welcome to my instructional video. My name is Marney-Rose Edge. I have been painting and teaching for many years, and I'm a signature member of the Canadian Society of Painters in Watercolour and the Federation of Canadian Artists. My passion is for painting in watercolour, and I love sharing my passion with you. Enjoy my video. Welcome back to my home studio. I'm glad you could join me today. So this will be part 2 in the 4-part series, and this is the first layer of 3 layers for the dark background. So here I am with my equipment. So today I have an old hand towel that I have repurposed. It's 100% cotton that I use for blotting my brush. This is great for absorbency and reusable, so I wash it, just toss it in the washer. My water bucket has 3 compartments, and you can see that one compartment has fins on it to remove the paint from my brush. Very important with this process is that you do not throw out your water or change your water until all 3 layers are done, because it is very important to use the dirty water in the 3rd layer, which is very unconventional, especially for watercolor. My brush today is a size 20 round. It is a beautiful brush by the Silver Brush Company in their Black Velvet 3000 series. They are a very strong, sturdy brush. They are synthetic and squirrel. They're soft, they hold the water, they release the water slowly. They have a beautiful balance to them. The band is in the perfect position for holding the brush, and you can just rest it with very little pressure in your hand. You can paint very loosely if you go to the back of the brush. I have tape on it because I lend it out during my workshops to people to try and compare it to what they are using. You can get used to any brush that you use, but these have been just beautiful. My palette is a possum palette, originally from Cheap Joe's in 2005. And they have stopped manufacturing this type of palette now, which is a real shame because it keeps the pigment soft to be able to get juicy color. I absolutely love it. The cups came empty with it, and I just refill them. You can pull them in and out, change your sequence of colors around your palette. You can add more colors, take colors off, just have the ones that you want open, just like I have here. And I will tell you which ones I have, which is Quinacridone Burnt Orange by Daniel Smith, Quinacridone Gold by Daniel Smith, Permanent Rose by Winsor & Newton, and French Ultramarine by Winsor & Newton. Some colors I'm attached to by brand and some not, and if you subscribe to my mailing list, I actually share the entire palette with you, brands and all, and preferences. So there will be a list of the colors used at the end of each video. And if you're used to a dry paint palette like a Robert E. Wood palette, you'll need to put out fresh paint or reconstitute the dried paint in your palette by soaking it with the lid closed overnight. Pan colors are different. They're quite juicy to start with because they use a different binder. Here I have a little flat palette, and if I put out fresh paint, this is Permanent Rose by Winsor & Newton, and I can show you that you don't just dig in and pick up a gob of paint. You can pull it out and just pet it from the side. So it's like petting a bug. You do not want to dig right in like that and end up with a gob of your paint on there, because you will have to blend it all the way out. But that's just to show you how you can move the paint around if you are using fresh paint. Right, so on I work on dry paper, and dry paper, because with watercolor they typically dry lighter, and with these, so if I was working on wet, it would dry 25% lighter, which is quite a considerable amount. Wet on dry will dry 5% lighter. And I also want to let you know that the paints that I have out here are transparent. Ultramarine is a semi-transparent, but everything else is transparent. So because I'm building up in layers, you want to be able to see the colors through each layer, and which you can do. So you won't find me using opaques very often. Sometimes I do. They're great for direct painting, like plein air painting, but I'm not a landscape painter. I enjoy florals. So I'll get started. So this composition has, so you want to make sure that your masking is completely dry before you start painting. This is tacky, you can hear it. And no, you want it to be tacky because that means it will come off. As I mentioned in the previous video, if you dry it in sunlight, you won't get it off. And the composition also breaks up into spaces so that you have the ability to move in one direction or two directions. Usually means you have to work a lot faster. So I can breathe a little bit. And honestly, it does need taking a deep breath when you first start. I will be using colors fairly intuitively. I'm going to keep my corners on the darker side so that I can have a glow effect. And the photograph for this was taken in sunlight at noon, which is not the most conducive to taking a good photograph. So I am making up the light pretty much. So I'm going to go more for a backlit feel, which means my light's probably going to come through here. And when you work intuitively, you're working in the right side of your brain, which means it has no memory. So you really, if you're thinking about it, you're in the left side of your brain. You just want to take color from one to another and into one, so that you are not really conscious about what colors you're picking up. Hence why I've only got these open, and I will just grab them. I really will. Anyway, we'll get going here. So I'm going to start off with Ultramarine in the corner. You can see that I don't have a lot of water in my paint, so it's sliding around. So it can. But you want to paint right over the masking. I'm just going to go, this is no particular order, it's not like order on the palette for what I'm doing, and you will just see it as it happens, even though it appears like I'm going around the circle, but I'm not. So I'm going to pull that right the way through and not really think about it. But I'm going to go back in with some red there, which is the permanent rose. I like the ultramarine. I'm just going to pull that through. But you see, by painting right the way through the masking, it's giving you the freedom. These hold a lot of water. So I am going to That is Quinburnt Orange. And you can see that I'm not put some more red in there. It is really just getting the paint down. I can lift it up. There's enough moisture on there to move stuff through. I'm just going to wipe off the excess in a minute with toilet paper, so it can create different patterns through there too. So the excess will just come off with toilet paper. And I'm going to wipe off on the masking fluid as well. Not the masking fluid, just on the masking, just so it doesn't puddle up too much. If you're not used to using a larger brush, it's a really good idea to practice first, and having that larger brush really takes away the need for creating mud, because you'll create mud with a smaller brush in a bigger area because you're having to use too many brush strokes. So I am just going to paint that in. I haven't missed anywhere. I don't think I didn't pull too much paint off. Oh, I did there. So I can just go back in while it's wet to do that. So you can see it's got a lot of colour on it, and you can see there's still some puddling areas. They can move. I can create different patterns. You can see it's dry here and creating a barrier, but I'm just going to flip it back the other way. And let it sit. And now it will just dry naturally. It's better off if you let it dry naturally. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in level 2 or part 3, which is the second layer of a dark background. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video and you're excited to practice on your own. For more information about the programs I offer, please visit my website at marneyroseedge.com. It's www.marneyroseedge.com. Thank you.